This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world, with your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I am bringing you back a returning guest, and I'll tell you what, I'm super excited to have him back on the show. We spotted this company about a year ago, and at that time, it was just a matter of time to really they get their sea legs underneath them and get going. Well, we're going to find out a lot about that today. We're talking no other than BKYI International, Inc. They are our guest today. You can find them on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BKYI. And with us today, we're very fortunate and lucky to have him, is the CEO and chairman of the company, Mr. Michael DePasquale. Michael, welcome to the show.
Great, Everett. It's good to be with you again today.
I saw a couple press records out, and I wanted, first of all, I think you should stand up and take a bow. $1.7 million in the fourth quarter. You finished out the year at a little bit over $4 million. That being said, you came out and you gave guidance of $11 million to $14 million for 2019. Why such the uptick, if you will, no pun intended? What is in your pipeline that you feel that's going to be driving this guidance range?
Well, we ended the year with the close of a very large contract, a $10 million contract that we closed in December of 2018. We only took about $1.1 million in revenue off that contract in the fourth quarter, and the balance of that now is in backlog to be delivered in fiscal 2019 and 2020. So we're coming into 2019 with a strong backlog of approximately $7 to $8 million in projected revenues. So that gives us very, very good and high confidence levels that we'll be able to achieve our guidance objectives of somewhere between $11 and $14 million.
Well, let's talk a little bit about cash flow, earnings per share. They were positive for the year. How did we get there, and how are we going to extract it going forward?
We will, in 2019, we do expect that we will have positive EBITDA, positive EPS, and positive cash flow, obviously, if we achieve our objectives, the ones that we stated in our guidance. So we do believe that 2019 is a breakout year for us. And more importantly, because of the backlog that we have, our performance will be more consistent. As we've been growing and developing this business, we've had a number of large contracts, episodal wins, but not on a consistent basis have we seen growth quarter to quarter. We're going to start to see that unfold, and I believe that our business will be more consistent as we go through 2019 and certainly as we approach 2020. So all told, we expect to be profitable, we expect to be cash flow positive, and we expect to be more consistent in our business.
There's a lot of companies that I feel that are into your space, but still you guys are making headway against it. Samsung's in your space, Apple's in your space. One of your products that everybody knows of is the BKYI fingerprint. That being said, tell me about maybe some other broadly products you guys are working on, and maybe some R&D that you see that it's going to come to fruition and it's going to be probably monetized in the near future.
Yeah, well, in terms of biometrics, our specialty is finger biometrics, which is the dominant form of biometric, especially for the enterprise. Consumers are using various modes of identification and authentication solutions, including facial recognition and finger. But the dominant for our space, for where we really compete in enterprise for businesses, is finger biometrics. That said, our WebKey platform, our core product offering, has the capability to incorporate multiple modes of authentication. So we support cards and smart cards, we support tokens, we support keys, we can support various types of biometrics, including facial recognition and voice and other modes, but we really focus on what customers are buying and what they require, and that's finger biometrics. But we do have an open platform. And if we see that one of these other modes tends to be picking up and getting more traction in the enterprise space, we'll certainly add it and drop it into our platform. But right now, we have a full and complete solution. We provide our own finger scanners, which are ergonomically designed, very affordably priced, and we provide the software platform and a full and complete multi-factor authentication solution for our customers, whether they want to use our biometrics or they want to use, in combination with our biometrics, other forms of authentication, as I just mentioned, cards, keys, tokens, or the likes.
My guest today is Michael DePasquale. He is the CEO and chairman of BKYI International, Inc. They trade on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BKYI. Speaking of internationally, I've seen that you're getting a lot of sales from the international, especially law enforcement. I think currently you guys are working with the Singapore. Is that indicative going forward that you guys are going to be kind of taking that niche, if you will?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, international, we have a very strong presence internationally now, given that we have facilities and resources around the world. So we have an office in Jiangmen and Shenzhen in China. We have an office in Hong Kong. We have a joint venture operation in Singapore, which again is servicing the Singapore police and a number of other potential opportunities that we're working there. We have a resource in Japan where we're selling there as well. Law enforcement has the same very specific issues that businesses have. They're susceptible to data breaches. They're susceptible to hacks. And we are seeing a very strong demand from police and defense agencies internationally to protect their assets. And so we do see that as a growing business for us. We closed a contract with the Singapore police, and more recently announced one with the Dubai police agency.
In closing here, Michael, what do you want your investors and my listeners to take away from this interview?
Well, I want them to really hear and understand that we're in a world today that is requiring advanced security technologies, including multi-factor authentication. And the preference of or authentication mode that companies are seeing to allow for positive identification of their employees is biometrics. And we are one of the few companies that can offer a full and complete solution, including the hardware, the software, and the services to satisfy that demand and requirement. And we do it across virtually every industry. So we have customers in banking and finance and healthcare and in retail and in government, as we just talked about. So I want them to understand this is a very, very significant potential, and there's tremendous upside in this business and for BioKey as we evolve forward.
As for my listeners, if you're looking for a revolutionized fingerprint biometric identification company, look no further than BioKey International. I think they're grossly undervalued here at $1.22 with a market cap around $18 million. The float is kind of light in my perspective on that, but I think we're just starting the base here. I'm looking for the yield curve line to start increasing immensely here in the next 2 or 3 quarters. Again, you can find them on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BKYI. Those are my personal opinions. Michael, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. It's always a privilege to have you on the show. I wish you nothing but the best. I'm always a big fan of your company. I think you guys are doing great things out there.
Thank you, Everett. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me today.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or this station.